So there were some questions about a problem involving swapping the values of two known variables. And I had to look at the question to see what the context that it was in, because it can have different meanings depending on how the question is asked and in the surrounding questions. So once I took a look at the problem and I understood what it was asking, and I decided to go ahead and make a video on it because it can be a little bit confusing. So let's go ahead and open up our Python console here, and let's get this set up. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get into Python, so let's do that. And let's go ahead and declare some variables and initialize them. So we're going to say I, and I'm going to equal that to, I'm going to assign it to the value of 0, and j will be assigned the value of 1. So now we have our variables, and they have existing values. Once I click enter, both of these values, 0 and 1, have been assigned to those two memory addresses. Now, the assignment says to swap them. So you might be tempted to do something along these lines. And I'll go ahead and fix this. So what I wrote was print, and then I pass it a string I, and then I'm saying equal, but this is a string, so I'm not really assigning anything. And then we're printing out j. Now the next line here we're saying, okay, now let's print out the string j equals, and then we're printing out I. And of course we get these two outputs, which visually appears as if they have been swapped, but in actuality they have not. Okay, so let's find out if that's the case. Let's go ahead and say, well, what does I equal now? Does I actually equal 1? I don't know. Let's find out. Print I. Nope. I still equals 0. Print j. Nope. J still equals 1. So as you can see, the print solution that we did right here, it gave the visual appearance that the variables had swapped, but they in fact had not. If we go back to those memory addresses, I still equals 0 and j still equals 1. Okay, so if it's not as simple as a swap as far as the output, the print goes, then how do we actually swap them in memory? And that's the key here, is what the assignment's asking for isn't for you to swap them visually, kind of like a trick, a visual trick, but rather to actually swap these two values with the two memory addresses. That's the real question. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and re-enter our variables. So I just cleared the screen, so we're going to say I equals 0, j equals 1. So there are memory addresses with their assignments. Let me get the cursor out of the way. And now after the return, they are now assigned. So now how do we swap them? Fairly easily. This is how we do that. Okay, so this is how you do that. We took I, and we're going to assign it j. We took j, we're going to assign it I. It's really that simple. And you notice there's no print. So in memory, these values have now been swapped. The value of 0 in memory address I has now been assigned to j, and 1 has now been assigned to I through this statement here. The print doesn't do anything except for show us, the user, what's happening in the computer. In memory, this has already taken place, and at this point, the assignment has been satisfied. But we can use the print so that we can see what has happened in I and j. So now I'm going to say, okay, let's take a look at I and j. And they should be swapped. And there they are. I is now equal to 1, and j is now equal to 0. And that's really it. That's all it was asking. So the print, remember, the print is for us. Inside the computer system, this has happened. This right here. The print is just showing us, the user outside of the system, what is going on inside the system. And that's it. A nice short little video to explain that problem. If there's still any questions on it, let me know. Appreciate it.